I nearly slammed my fist through my steering wheel when I saw her name pop up on the caller ID, again. It was Friday evening and I was parked outside the gym, waiting for Lilia to finish her workouts so we could head home to feed the kid. My head was still buzzing from what I'd found earlier that day. I'd marched into the kitchen to grab a granola bar and caught sight of that crumpled DNA lab receipt poking out of my jacket pocket. All it said was, "Paternity test, processing," in tiny print, but that one line twisted my gut into a knot. I knew exactly what it meant. 3 years of 2-hour evenings at a weekday softball league, moving in after 5 months because her lease ended. Hell, I could map out every second of those nights in my sleep. Now, everything was teetering on a razor's edge because I actually cared enough to verify that staring at a tiny baby boy every morning wasn't going to be the biggest lie I ever told myself. When Lilia finally stomped out of the gym, towel slung over her shoulder, she gave me that, "Let's just get home. Look." I barely stared at her face. My eyes were glued to the floor of the passenger side. I didn't trust myself to talk yet. I swallowed, forced my jaw to relax, and started the car. The air smelled faintly like sweat and resin from the leather seats. My heartbeat was thumping so hard I could feel it in my ears. By the time we pulled into our driveway, I was so wound up that I couldn't sleep even after listening to every rant on my coach's fantasy football podcast. So that's how I found myself standing in the kitchen at midnight, the hall light flickering as I stared at Lilia packing our son's onesies into a duffel bag. Her eyes were glassy, and when she saw me, she just snapped the bag closed, zipped it 3 times, and practically shoved it into my hands. "He's going to Grandma's," she said flatly. Milo babbled in his swing 2 feet away, oblivious. I tried to reach for him, but she kept my hands off. "I'm done being treated like an idiot," she spat, voice trembling. "You think you can just question everything after I carried him for 9 months? I swallowed the lump in my throat. "If you've never lied, why freak out over a test?" I asked. She froze, looked like someone had slapped her. That was my high-tension moment, a flash of cold clarity where I realized how far gone things were. The entire marriage, the move-in, the pregnancy, even that one unexpected fight before she fell pregnant, it all pointed to the same thing. I wasn't seeing the whole picture. And I trusted my gut for once. We met at Dave's housewarming party 2 years ago. She walked in wearing a red dress that made me lose my train of thought mid-sentence. I was a sales rep for a medical supply company, no big win there. But between cold calls and driving all over town, I still felt like I had at least half my life together. Then along came Lilia, and everything got discombobulated in a good way. By month 5, her lease was up and we moved in together. I agreed because she said it just made sense financially. My dumbass said yes. A month later, she was pregnant, protection failed, morning after pill failed, classic. I remember staring at those 2 pink lines on the home test, feeling my chest squeeze so tight I thought I'd pass out. Then, a weird rush of excitement. Becoming a dad was something I'd wanted, just maybe not at 27 with a woman I'd only really known for a handful of months. First trimester was hell for her, all-day nausea, mood swings that had me tiptoeing across eggshells in our own living room. One night, the pizza place forgot her garlic dip and she sobbed like I'd personally insulted her mother. 5 minutes later, she was giggling over cat videos the next time I picked up my phone, a voltage swing from 0 to 100, every single day. I tried to stay even-keeled, reminding myself it was hormones. That's what I told myself when she leapt off the couch to snatch her phone from my hand one afternoon. "You can't touch that," she snarled. "It's private work stuff." Work? She was a dental receptionist. Private work stuff meant maybe a patient's name or some gossip. Still, I dropped it. Then there was Travis. She used to mention him all the time. "So, Travis at the office said," and then, "just gone." I asked, "What happened to that coworker you were always talking about?" She clenched her jaw. "Why do you care about my coworkers?" That was the first real red flag. By month 5, she was skipping my car rides to appointments. "You don't need to come for routine checkups," she said. It's just weight, blood pressure, so boring. I insisted on seeing the ultrasound once, she cancelled. Doctor emergency. 2 weeks in a row. I let her reschedule, thinking it was legit, until the nagging boomeranged back into my mind later. Her mom, Carol, also started acting weird whenever we were all together. Once, after Sunday dinner, Carol hugged me so tight I thought she'd break a rib. "You're a good man, Jake," she said in this low voice. I just patted her back and smiled. First grandkid, hormones again, I reasoned. I didn't see how that puppy-eyed look foreshadowed months of suspicion ahead. Milo was born 3 months ago, 2 weeks early, according to Lilia. He weighed 7 pounds, 8 ounces, and the nurses kept praising how healthy he was for a preemie. I cut the cord. I cried like a baby. Rocking him in my arms, I felt a pride that almost made my heart explode. That was the best day of my life. The first few weeks at home were a blur of diapers, spit up, and 2-hour shifts of sleep. We survived because Carol stepped in for a week, cooking, cleaning, taking midnight shifts so Lilia and I could get a stretch of sleep. Only problem was that Carol's eyes never quite left me when I held the baby. Like she knew something I didn't. I brushed it off, first grandbaby, all that. Then last Sunday, at their place, everything cracked wide open. We do this dinner every other weekend, lasagna or pot roast, Frank, Lilia's dad, bragging about fishing on the patio, the two of them treating me like family, on the surface, at least. That evening, I was half watching a trashy TV show with the volume up, scrolling through my fantasy football pics on my phone. Lilia plops down on the couch with Milo, and I glance over expecting a normal "What a day!" comment. Instead, she bursts out laughing at the scene, a paternity test reveal where the guy's either hugging the father or sobbing on the floor. I cracked a smile, then she leaned forward, clutching Milo like she was waiting for a joke to land, then blurted out, "What if you're not Milo's dad?" Her laugh turned shrill, forced. I locked eyes with her. She looked like she'd swallowed hot coals. The entire room went silent. Frank slammed the remote to mute the TV. Carol dropped her spoon in the kitchen and didn't pick it up. For a long moment, I had no idea if I'd heard her right. Then she waved a hand at me, grinning unnaturally. "Relax," she said. "I'm just kidding. Look at his chin dimple, totally yours. Except I don't have a chin dimple. Nor does she." The baby's chin had the same little cleft that belonged to Lilia's brother. I could feel my chest tighten, like a fist around my ribs. I took a deep breath to calm that hot knot in my throat. Dinner was a train wreck after that. Frank talked louder about his fishing reel just to fill the void. Carol shot Lilia these "shut up" looks anytime she opened her mouth. Lilia talked a minute about nothing, eyes flicking to me like she was waiting for me to speak, to catch me slipping up. I ate pot roast until my stomach hurt. Last night, I tried to bring it up when we got home. "That was a weird joke at your parents' house," I said. Her reaction was immediate, defensive, breathy. "It's just a TV show," she snapped. "Stop being so serious." So I said, "But you don't have a dimple. And his eyes are bright blue, not brown or green. Did you even think before you said it?" Her face went porcelain white. "Don't be ridiculous. Babies look all weird. They change." She spun on her heel and stomped upstairs. That was 48 hours ago. Since then, I've been watching her like a hawk. She's the same doting new mom on the surface, kisses me on the forehead, texts me heart emojis when I'm at work, half-lips me while feeding the baby. But I see her glancing at the clock every time I walk by with Milo. I see her grip her phone like a life raft whenever I'm near. And when my mom visited last week, she said, "Mo doesn't look like anyone in our family yet." Lilia swore my mom was judgmental. For the first time, I understood what my ex's lies felt like, the constant second-guessing, the feeling of being gaslit into silence. Tuesday night, I heard her talking to her sister in the bedroom. Door halfway closed. "It just came out," she said, voice loud enough to shatter plates. "It was stupid. You should have seen him panic." Then she laughed, a cold bark that rang in my ears. I told him it was a joke. He totally believed it. The panic on his face, priceless. I froze in the doorway with Milo draped in one arm. My shoulders went rigid, my heart thudded so loud I thought someone would call the cops. She finished. It's fine. He seemed normal afterward. I backed out without a word, visions of that leather couch spinning in my head. I needed proof. I didn't want to be the jealous asshole who accused her without evidence. I went silent. Pretended to let it go. Did the dishes one night unprompted. Even bought her flowers to sell that I'd moved on. Inside, though, my mind raced in circles. I tried rationalizing. Maybe she really was that stupid, not malicious. But every time I saw that chin dimple lie popping behind her smile, I felt rage building. That's when I ordered a paternity kit, at-home swabs, overnight shipping. It arrived last Thursday. I waited until she was in the shower, long soak, fuck her self-care, and tiptoed into the nursery. My hands shook so badly I almost dropped the swab tip. Milo lay on his back napping in his crib, chest rising and falling peacefully. For a second, my throat closed up. But I clenched my jaw, swabbed inside his cheek, sealed it, swabbed mine, and sealed it. Stuffed them in an envelope, licked the stamp, and dropped it at the mailbox on my way to work Friday. I decelerated at the intersection so hard I nearly rear-ended a sedan. I thought 2 business days would drag by forever. And they did. Every time my phone pinged, I jumped. Then Monday morning came. I'd barely had my coffee, and I saw the subject line. Paternity test results, XX/XX/XXXX. My hands went numb as I swiped the email open. Probability of paternity, 0%. I puked right next to my car in the company parking lot. My face felt hot, tears stinging behind my eyes. I stared at the screen, the numbers mocking me, then laid my head on the steering wheel and just bawled. I called my boss, told him I had a family emergency, and sped home. The drive felt like a mile-long tunnel. I punched the lock on the front door, grabbed the results off the kitchen table, and sat in my recliner with the mail and that damn receipt. My brain screamed, "Run away!" But I forced myself to look at each word. Her lie unraveled in my hands. I called Lilia. "Where are you?" She was quiet, like she already knew. "Work," she said finally. "Why?" I said nothing. I hung up and waited. Less than 30 minutes later, she unlocked the door and marched in carrying Milo like a deadweight, face pale. "Why are you looking at me like that?" she spat. I showed her the email. Her face crumpled like wet paper. She hissed, "Give me that." Reached for the phone, but I slid it back. She grabbed at it, nails digging into my palm. I didn't care. I wouldn't let her rip it from my fingers. Then she crumbled, tears flooding, and confessed. "I slept with Travis. Just once. I took Plan B. I thought it wouldn't work. I let you believe it was yours because I was scared. Scared to tell you. We fought over Vegas. I thought I'd break your heart, so I baked you a cake with my lie in it." Her face was raw with regret, but I stared at her unmoving. My chest still felt like it had been punched. "You let me pick out paint colors for a nursery under a lie," I said quietly. "You let me believe I was this kid's father." Her shoulders shook. She hugged me, but I shrugged her off. "What does that leave us?" I asked, voice dull. "He's innocent, but I didn't choose him," she begged. "I'll divorce you. I'll live with my parents. Just let me be in his life." I backed into the hallway, Milo stirring in her arms. My heart pounded so fast I could barely feel my feet. "He's got a father," I said. "Not me. And you knew it." I turned and walked away, leaving her sobbing on the couch with the baby. Legal reality slammed into me like a freight train the next day. My name's on the birth certificate. This tiny piece of paper says I'm his father, whether I'm biologically related or not. My lawyer was blunt. "You have 1 year to petition to disestablish paternity. If you wait longer, you owe child support until he's 18. And the judge could still hold you responsible if you've formed a parental bond." My chest ached. I tossed that overhead line right back at her. I was tricked into being his dad, and now I had to fight just to undo it. So I filed the petition to disestablish paternity, and filed to establish Travis as the biological father, citing that email as evidence. Lilia flipped out when she saw her court summons. "You can't do this to me!" she screeched outside my door. I watched from the peephole as she banged, tears streaming, until I pressed record on my phone. She wailed about how Milo needs his father. I didn't open the door. My lawyer said that would hurt her case more than anything. In the preliminary hearing, Travis dragged his feet, swore he already knew the kid wasn't his, refused to test. The judge didn't care, ordered him tested or face a warrant. Lilia showed up with her own lawyer and didn't contest the disestablishment. Her lawyer just asked the court that if I was removed, I still get visitation, since I'd been dad for 3 months. I felt nothing but relief when the judge signed off that afternoon. My name was off that birth certificate. That first night after court, I burst into tears driving home from work. Not for losing her, not for losing the idea of being this kid's dad, but for how naive I'd been. How I'd seen nothing while the truth was staring me in the face for months. The weird phone snatches, the protective gym schedule, those dark looks from her mom. I let it slide because I fell in love. That changed me. I bought a mattress I couldn't afford when I should have invested in an investigator. Lilia's last-ditch text begged me to give her a chance. I ignored it. She still shows up on my social media sometimes, likes a picture of me with my dog, or a "good for you" comment. I don't reciprocate. Instead, I packed up every baby item, clothes, swing, crib, even that stupid Daddy's Best Buddy onesie, and donated it to a women's shelter. Boxing it all up felt like ripping out a festering wound, but I didn't keep anything. No souvenirs. My friends have been my lifeline. Dave told me the second he heard. "Son, your gut caught it. Never ignore that." Mark invited me to crash on his couch for a week, and I took it. I slept 15 hours straight that first weekend. Woke up sore in places I didn't know existed. My appetite disappeared for days. My old boss called to say I could transfer to the Austin branch if I wanted. New city, fresh start. I took it. Now I've been in Austin for a month. New apartment, new routines. I bought a wakeboard, signed up for karate classes, something to fill the hole left by knowing I wasn't Milo's dad. I still feel hollow some nights. Trust is murky. I signed up for therapy, sessions twice a week, talking to a guy who's never met Lilia or me. He asks hard questions. What did she look like when you asked for the test? How did your palms feel that day? Talking about it out loud makes it real, but it's the only way I'll get past it. I've got a coworker here named Rebecca who invited me to a cookout. She makes me laugh without mocking me. One night after work, she asked me, "So, what's your story, man?" I just shrugged. Let's just say I learned the hard way that sometimes love is a mask. She nodded, handed me a beer, and we played cornhole like normal guys without me having to explain every detail. That was a good feeling, just being me again. Legally, Travis's DNA finally came back positive last week. He's now on the hook for child support. Lilia moved back in with her folks, got a social media troll reputation for cheating with coworker, and rumor is her job at the dental office got shaky after all that drama leaked out. If karma's real, she's getting her crash course. She tried to call me last night, begging for money. "He'll starve," she said of the baby. I blocked her number. My lawyer warned me that I could still be subpoenaed to testify about what I knew, so I'm keeping my mouth shut until a judge tells me otherwise. I'm not saying what I did was easy. Walking away from the kid I helped build a nursery for felt like tearing off a limb. But the minute I saw that, "What if you're not his dad?" joke, something in me snapped. My dad's old lessons. Teach people how to treat you. Rallied in my head. And I refused to be the doormat who wiped Lilia's feet one more time. I had to preserve my sanity, my reputation, my bank account, my honest self, so I made the call that most men in my shoes dread. Now, when I drive past a residential neighborhood with strollers on sidewalks, I feel a pinch in my chest, but also relief. I taught myself that you can face the most painful truth and still walk away with something left intact. I'm learning to trust again, starting with myself. If someone asks me how I'm doing, I'll be honest, I'm carrying scars, but they're reminders I caught the lie before it swallowed me whole. Will I date again? Probably. But not while I still flinch at the thought of someone's joke about a paternity test. I'm not ready for that scar tissue to undergo new stress. I'm building new routines, weekend barbecues with friends, late night runs along the Colorado River, and quiet Sundays with my dog Max. I'm becoming the kind of man who doesn't let fear hold him hostage and doesn't stay when he's not respected. For any guy out there sensing something's off, trust your gut, get the test, lawyer up fast. The legal system isn't exactly on our side in these situations. But if you act decisively, you might just save yourself from 20 years of child support checks for a kid that isn't yours. It sucks hearing your heart break in real time. It sucks eating ramen at 2 a.m. while counseling calls echo in the background. But you'll get through it. Because at the end of the day, when someone's willing to gamble with your most sacred duty, being a father, you deserve to know the truth. And if the truth hurts, so be it. I'll live with mine, scars and all, and keep moving forward.